This One's Wife. Could they get any lower? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Julie Burchell writes in The Spectator magazine, providing her acerbic observations about the gruesome twosome, which provides an interesting summary of the year for them. Let's dive in and find out what she had to write. Looking back on the Queen's 1992 Annus Horribilis, the events involved, though surprising at the time, seem almost staid now. The wife of her favourite son was photographed canoodling with an American. Her daughter divorced. Her daughter-in-law was the co-creator of a frank book about the sorrows of her marriage to the Queen's eldest son. And to top it off, Windsor Castle burned down. 3 decades on, there's a marked difference between the Queen's awful year and that of her grandson, Prince Harry. The Queen's year might have happened to anyone who had a bit of bad luck and a lot of castles. Harry, and this one's wife's Annus Horribilis, is the direct result of them being, as that Spotify exec said, fucking grifters. Now, pausing there, Julie Burchell identifies that what happened to the Queen was circumstance. But what has happened to this one's wife and Harry is as a consequence of their own behaviours. Hers, driven by her narcissism, Harry, because he is in her thrall, and his strong narcissistic traits of anger, argumentativeness, resentment and pride have been stoked by his wife. They were there anyway, and she has just amplified those traits, causing him to behave in a more entitled fashion. The result is they've both been repeatedly bitten on the backsides. Burchell continues by explaining, last year, when the grifter's remark was made, we all thought the Sussexes could go no lower. This was the year of the South Park episode, wherein 2 characters obviously meant to be H and M embark on a worldwide privacy tour. Ridicule, threat to control. It included a genuinely chilling moment when the prince suggests to his wife that they might actually embrace a life of privacy and do good things, rather than just talk about how good they are. When she doesn't answer, he opens her head and finds that she is hollow, like a Russian doll, which of course is something that I have been explaining to you from the very beginning about the emptiness of this one's wife. Yet 2024 has, amazingly, been even worse for them. For starters, their supporters now look like bullies, no matter how much they present this one's wife as a victim. This one's wife's obsession with Catherine, Princess of Wales, already seemed like a case of sour grapes. But when it transpired that the princess was absent from public duties due to chemotherapy for cancer, this one's wife's supporters still spread nasty rumours. This, of course, is demonstrative of the behaviour of the Shuggers, as I have explained elsewhere, and it also demonstrated, with the silence of this one's wife, how she was not moved, because she has no emotional empathy, to defend her sister-in-law. Furthermore, it underpinned her hypocrisy, didn't it? She spouts off about protecting people and taking steps to prevent online bullying, talking to the parents of children that have taken their own lives as a consequence of being bullied online. She bangs on about being a mother, demonstrating her lack of awareness once again. Ordinarily, were you not aware that she was a narcissist, you would think to yourself, given the fact that you claim that you've been bullied yourself and you claim to be a protector of those that are bullied online, surely you'd have stepped in and said something to your supporters about their behaviour towards Catherine. Of course, you all know, as a consequence of my work, that she'd failed to do so because she has no emotional empathy for Catherine, and indeed she would revel in the attacks upon her sister-in-law because she is painted black. Burchell continues by explaining, perhaps finally acknowledging that her acting career is over. This one's wife has cooked up a lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, which sounds like a urinal cake. Entirely unsurprisingly, American Riviera Orchard has failed to take off. While people don't need to like you for your lifestyle brand to be a success, see Gwyneth Paltrow and Martha Stewart, they do have to be slightly envious of you and think, I wish I had what she's got. No one wants what this one's wife has got, except perhaps possibly poor plastic-faced Omid Scobie. When Tina Brown said this year, the trouble with this one's wife is that she has the worst judgment of anyone in the entire world, she's flawless about getting it all wrong, it sounded like an understatement. Meanwhile, Prince Harry is faring no better. The man who once proudly wore medals earned from a decade in the army now travels the world, collecting Toy Town tributes like a baffled child playing at being a grown-up. At the start of the year, he was inducted into something called Living Legends of Aviation, which sounded like a hipster pop group. He ended the year in the Titan category of Times magazine's list of the 100 most influential leaders driving business to real climate action. Helpfully, in October, the Express totted up the number of air miles gobbled up by Harry and this one's wife thus far this year, which amounted to 82,908 miles for just work events. The figure does not include internal flights on their visits to Nigeria and Colombia, nor private holidays. This equates to more than 3 trips around the world. That's some climate action. Once again demonstrating the hypocrisy of these two buffoons. And 2 things this year have made Harry appear not merely daft, but callous. The first was when he accepted, against the wishes of the dead man's mother, the Pat Tillman Award from Excellence in Sports Performance yearly. Tillman was an American football player who gave up a £3 million contract to enlist in the US Army. His mother Mary said, "I am shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual to receive the award. There are recipients that are far more fitting. There are individuals working in the veteran community that are doing tremendous things to assist veterans. These individuals do not have the money, resources, connections, or privilege that Prince Harry has." Meanwhile, there are ongoing horror stories emerging from the wildlife charity African Parks in the Republic of Congo, where Harry is a board member. The charity is investigating allegations that guards working for it have been involved in the rape and torture of indigenous people. What's the perfect way to correct the impression that you're an out-of-touch playboy prince? Why not be the executive producer of a 5-part series about polo starting on Netflix? See what I mean about their judgment? Though both Harry and this one's wife's names will appear on this highly relevant project, it's likely the muck will stick to the prince. Polo is his thing. Next on Netflix is this one's wife's show about cooking, so we can all see how down to earth she is. It seems likely that this one's wife has decided that her husband is holding her back, which may be the reason that the once inseparable pair have been travelling mostly solo this year. When a folie à deux gets old, the lovers often turn on each other in their loneliness and frustration. Or, interjecting, putting it another way, when you have the awful shared fantasy of a narcissist and her victim, that ultimately the narcissist devalues because of the fuel becoming stale, and the victim may well tire of being abused, thus resulting in them both turning on one another. Burchell continues by stating, "I doubt whether the Sussexes can turn their prospects around. Just as a marriage can survive loathing but not contempt, so it goes with public perception of the famous. We don't even hate them anymore. These drama queens could probably finagle actual hate into fuel for their persecution complex. We just think that they are ridiculous." There's a distinct whiff of Sunset Boulevard about the isolated pair as they flail around wondering where to go next. Is Harry living in a hotel? Are they moving to Portugal? Will they attempt to follow their friend Ellen DeGeneres to the Cotswolds now that their nemesis is set to become president? Could there be a welcoming Blighty yet for Harry? Tina Brown summed it up. She's kind of run out of road. I don't know where this one's wife goes. Harry could still, as I say, make a comeback. He'll always be Prince Harry. He'll always be the grandson of the Queen and the son of Diana. It's feasible that the marriage could implode, and Harry will come limping home. But whatever next year holds, It's hard to imagine that it could be worse than 2024. An accurate article which demonstrates how disastrous these two have had their experiences in the course of the last year, and it's all as a consequence of their own behaviours. It isn't a run of bad luck, it's the collateral consequences once again. Naturally, this one's wife will see that she is blameless. Her narcissism will not allow her to believe that she is at fault. What do you think will 2025 hold for them? Clearly, this article, should it come beneath the eyes of this one's wife and Harry, will threaten her control and infuriate him. They don't, of course, like to be criticised in any shape or form. But what do you see happening for Prince Harry and this one's wife? Could it get any worse than it has been for 2024? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.